Death. It's all around us. At some point in our lives, we'll have to contemplate the meaning of life and the meaning of the afterlife. We'll bump up against death and what it means to be on the other side. Today in Sydney, death is a big conversation. Breaking news out of Sydney, Australia, in a suburb really close to me. Mass shootings, for people that might have heard the news, all around the world. And I think it's an amazing synchronicity that I've got the wonderful Vincent Tolman on the show today, who's had an amazing near-death experience and has a great connection with the other side. So we're going to have a fascinating conversation with Vinny about his experience on the other side and his NDE, what he learned and what he wants to teach us. So stay tuned.
You got to accentuate the positive. I feel good. A little bit of feel good goes a long way.
You're listening to Karen Swain, teacher of deliberate creation, accentuating the positive, showing you a way to a better life.
Accentuating the positive, it's not just fad, it's sanity. Who in their right mind would accentuate anything else?
If you feel like that's what you want to do.
Hello, and welcome to another show, Accentuating the Positive, on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Networks on 107.7 and 105. What am I getting it right? I'm all over the place. Let me get it right. 105.3 FM syndicated radio out of the Gulf Coast and New Orleans. And today we've got the wonderful Vincent Tolman, Vinny Tolman, on the show. Welcome to the show, Vinny. So great.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure and my joy to be here.
I know we've had a great conversation already. He's a hoot. So the wonderful Kristen Mismash was talking about Vinny to me recently, very recently, a week or two ago, 2 weeks ago. We were talking about his near-death experience, and she said, "Have you heard his near-death experience?" I said, "No, I haven't heard everybody's, but I've heard a lot." And as I say on my shows, I was going to have recorded shows for the next few weeks. But I reached out to Vinny when I saw his story and I said, "Do you want to come on the show?" It's a very synchronistic thing. It sort of happens spontaneously. And I think there's an amazing synchronicity happening because just around the corner from me in my beloved suburb of Bondi, which is a beautiful beach in Sydney, Australia, there's been mass murder. So death is in the air, death and tragedy. And as humans, we get really upset about when people die. And my guides have said to me, when I ask them what causes the most suffering on earth, they say to me, your understanding of death. If you understand what death is really, you wouldn't suffer so much. So Vinny understands death more than most, right, darling?
I do. I understand it. I'm excited for it one day, and I'm not doing silly things to encourage it, but I am very excited when I get to stay this next time.
Yeah. Let me just acknowledge the beautiful people online. There's the gorgeous Shirley and Bladdy and Son. And who else have we got? Carmel and Thirsty. Hi, guys. You're in for a treat today. Vinny is, who's this? Kerry from Utah. And Son has an amazing story. And I'm going to shut up and let him share it. I could read your bio, but you're going to tell us all about it, right? So you had a near-death experience when you were 25. And there's lots of gory details to it. Normally, I don't get people to share the gory details, but I want you to share all the gory details because I think it's really fascinating what happened to you. So take it away, honey. What happened to you at 25?
Well, I'm one of the rare ones that I know what it smells like to be inside of a body bag, and it's not pleasant. Mm-hmm. At age 25, I was found in a restaurant bathroom in a water closet, and I had aspirated. So, the man who found me, which was a restaurant manager, he called emergency services. They got an ambulance there. They pronounced the body as dead. And I didn't know that what I was watching was actually my own death. I thought I was watching an interesting movie that was interactive. And it's one of those odd things that until you experience it, you can't really judge it. I didn't know I was dead. I was watching this body. I was watching them try to resuscitate it. I was watching them put it in the body bag. I watched them drive away from the scene. And there was a rookie medic in the back of the ambulance. And he felt an intuitive nudge that he needed to break protocols and try to resuscitate this body even further. So he did. He unzipped the body bag. He felt around for a pulse. He still didn't feel one, but he did feel, again, that prompting, I've got to try. So he hooked up a defib machine. On the first round of shocks, nothing, no response. Second round of shocks, the heart did give one beat. And then on the third round of shocks, the heart started. It was a faint beat, but it was steady and it was on its own. So I went from being dead in a body bag to heart started, but brain wasn't. So I was brain dead for 3 days. And really my experience was me going on a journey for 3 days. And it took me 3 days to get to what we would call the heaven space. It is a very real space. The first thing I noticed is I noticed that there was a gentleman, standing near me. And my first thought was, this must be God. And he looked at me and smiled and said, no, son, I'm not God. And I was trying to figure out who he was. And he said, you can call me Drake. I'm here to be your guide. I'm here to help you go wherever you want to go. And I could feel this tremendous love pouring through him onto me. And this love is very different than anything we have on earth. I had a really rough life growing up and quite a lot of abuse in many, many different ways. And this love, it felt like it was washing it off of me. All of the abuse just washing off of me. And I told him, I said, Drake, I want to go to wherever this love's coming from. And he got very excited. He goes, well, that's coming from our home. I want to take you there. That would be my dream. And I said, well, that's my dream. Let's go home. So we began this journey. We began a journey to go home to heaven. And, I was raised Christian and up until that time. And I thought, I had everything done and needed that someone would need to get into a heaven realm. So I told him, I said, point me to the Christian door, point me to the special VIP entrance for us Christians. I'm ready. Let's go. And he looked at me and he smiled and he goes, I love that you think it's that way, but there's more to it than just some special door. Okay. And he used that response quite a bit throughout the whole experience through the 3 days. But he taught me that, number one, I needed to find out who I really was. And I said, I know who I am. I'm Vincent Tolman. I'm a home builder. I was a movie maker. I was a TV producer. I had done all these things by age 25. I was also an amateur bodybuilder. And so I put out all these labels of who I was. And he said, I love that you think that's what you are. but who are you really?
Yeah.
And he showed me that I was putting on masks everywhere I went in my life. And I didn't have to wear masks, that I could just be me. And underneath all those masks that I was wearing, there was a common Vinny. There was one being. And he showed me how to be that person, that true self. And that's when he showed me why I was even on earth. And he said, do you even know why you're here on Earth? And I said, yes, I know we're here to be tested. We're here to be saved, some of us, and some of us thrown away. And that really what Earth is about is just sorting the souls. And again, Drake smiled at me and said, I love that you think that's what it is. And he showed me that, Earth is just a school, and that the proving or the trial, that happened before we even came here. And that Earth primarily is a school for us to learn how to create, for us to learn how to make our own decisions. When we're near our Creator in our home world, in our home space of heaven, we're so in love with our Creator and our Creator with us that anything that our Creator wants, we automatically want. And so we can't differentiate our own desires from our Creator. So we have to earn our way to get to Earth School. And, in a weird way, Earth School is actually a reward. I know a lot of you out there are probably hearing this thinking, my life is not a reward. It is. It is. Even the most horrible lives, it's still a reward. For the eternal soul, the soul wanted to come here. The soul wanted to prove itself. The soul wanted to learn how to love and to create and learn how to make decisions. Because when we were with our Creator, we didn't need to make decisions. We wanted and we chose whatever our Creator did. So that was a big part of my journey, is figuring out, number one, who I was and how to be authentically me, and that I couldn't grow or progress towards heaven myself until I knew who I truly was. So it was quite a process, just the offset of getting going. And Drake, he took me through many more principles, one of which, that always sticks out to me is he helped me know that for me to get into a heaven realm or a home, I had to release all prejudice. That prejudice is me deciding that someone is not valuable and someone is valuable. And that I had to release all of that. That I couldn't have any prejudice whatsoever if I wanted to enter my Creator's house, my God's house. And, Drake, he said, you don't seem like you're prejudiced. And I said, I'm not prejudiced at all. And I showed him in my mind all the ways that I was not prejudiced. And then he showed me, he said, okay, but what do you think about prejudiced people? And that's when I went off. I went off and told him about my opinions on prejudiced people. And that's when Drake just lovingly smiled. And he showed me, by me holding prejudice, even towards prejudiced people, I myself was prejudiced. And that really twisted my brain for a moment. And I had to let go of it. I had to see that even the most prejudiced among us, that it's not my job, it's not my purpose to fulfill, to judge them with more prejudice. And that the only answer to prejudice is actually love. And the right amount of love in the right way, you can heal people of their prejudice. And that was just very profound, especially for a 25-year-old like myself. Yeah. And I was having a hard time with this when Drake showed me that the power of creation is right here in my mind, that with my thoughts I can create, that the world that I want to see is the world I'm going to see. And I need to own my own thoughts much better than I ever had been in the past. And that if I can use my thoughts, which are the power of creation, then I can create great and wonderful things. But I also need to make sure I avoid negative influences. And, you know, at that age, I loved negative influences. I loved, you know, movies and music and all sorts of things that were not positive influences. And Drake showed me that because my thoughts create, it is vitally important that I learn to put up a fence around my thoughts. I learn to follow what I've come to learn as the hour of power, which is the first 30 minutes when you wake up, the last 30 minutes before you go to bed, that these 30 minutes combined as an hour are the most powerful hour of your entire day. Because what you put in that hour, it creates you. It becomes a frame around you. And you are the space in between those 2 half hours. And if we want, we can put really good things in that hour of power, or we can put terrible things. But if we put the good things, we actually feel different in our experience on Earth. And as we were going through all of this, you know, Drake was getting towards the end of what he was teaching me, and I saw far away this huge expanse of space, and we were getting closer and closer and closer. And I got to a point where my feet were actually coming down, touching down in this space, and my toes themselves interlocked with the grass there. And the first thing I noticed is that the grass, it had a harmony, that every blade of grass had its own note, its own musical tuning, that every blade of grass had a very distinct color, different from another, and that every blade of grass was excited to see me. And I'd never experienced something like this, not even close to this. And you know, our human eyes, they can only see about 15% of light. But over there, in our energetic body, our soul body, we can see all light. And I was seeing shades of green and yellow and almost like a blue that I didn't know existed. And there's just millions of these shades. And this grass sending all this love to me. I felt as if my battery was now being charged. For the first time in my life, I was where I was supposed to be, and I knew it. And I could feel the flow of this love, just waves of this love pouring over me. And Drake, he just is laughing. He's laughing with me. And he goes, if you think the grass is good, you should see the flowers. And I lost it. I go, there's flowers? What? Are you kidding me? And as soon as he said flowers, and I started to get very excited, he took my consciousness and he put it on a flower. And it was the most serene feeling, the most holy, precious feeling, be on this divine structure of a flower. And this lavender light was just like liquid flowing through the petals of this flower. And I could feel again this supreme consciousness of love inside the flower. And it was pouring itself all over me. And that's when Drake introduced me to the trees. And I was freaking out about the trees. I was so excited about the trees. And the next thing I know is I feel something touch my toes again. First it was the grass, but I'd been in the grass, so I was getting used to that. But I looked down and I saw water, and I actually felt a consciousness ask my consciousness, do you want us on you? And I said, yes, yes, yes. And I invited this water on me. It started at my toes, and it came up over my ankles, my legs, my knees, my hips, came up all the way up my abdomen, went out to both arms and covered both arms. It went up and covered my head. And it was really neat. When the water completed this complete covering over me, there was like a pulse of energy. It was like, poof. And in that pulse of energy, it felt that like every little trauma and drama that was ripped into me as a kid was healed by this water. And the water was electric. It was love. It was warm, but it was also cold, like cool to the touch. But yet I didn't feel wet at all. And when the water had completed its purpose, it then went back down off my body, and I felt different. I knew I was different after this water. And I noticed this building off in the distance. I was very excited to go learn about the building, possibly go in some of the rooms. And that's when Drake came around me and he said, Vinny, this is going to be really hard. And then he looked at me right dead in the eyes and he said, but it's going to be worth it. This is going to be really hard, but it's going to be worth it. And he hugged me. And when he hugged me, I felt another pulsing of energy, just pulse after pulse of energy. It felt almost as if God was expressing the love that God has for me, for Drake, for all of us in these pulses of energy, almost like sonar or pulsar. These big pulses of energy. And I'm just enjoying this hug. And I'm feeling more love in my body than I thought was ever possible. I'm feeling so unconditionally loved, despite my many imperfections, my many weaknesses, my many human tendencies. I still have this love being poured all over me. And as all this is happening, I hear my brother in a hospital on earth, and he's saying a prayer over my body. He commands my body to be made whole. He commands my soul to come back into my body. And with that finish to the prayer, I felt a yank on me. I felt myself be yanked out of that heavenly realm. And it felt like I was being yanked by my belly button, which is hard to understand, but I was being yanked into myself. And that pull was so rough and fast. It felt as if it was instantaneous, but it was a few hours had passed since he had said that prayer. And I woke up. I woke up on January 21st, 2003, after I'd been pronounced dead on January 18th, 2003. I woke up in a hospital. Everyone was telling me that I was a miracle, and I didn't feel like a miracle. I felt cursed. I just wanted to go home. And when I finally got out of that hospital, I went to my house, and the only thing I could do was pack a bag because I wanted to go home. And I didn't understand how I couldn't feel at home. And it's been quite a journey since to come to terms with what I learned in my experience. I was sent an earth angel who is my wife, who is the mother of my 2 kids. And she helped me reorient myself towards what matters, which is family. And she voluntold me that we were going to go to a family reunion. And in this family reunion, I was watching a historical presentation on the founders of this little town in Wyoming called Afton, Wyoming. And one of the first pictures that came up was a picture of Drake. And this was almost to the date, 6 months exactly from the time I woke up. I'm now learning who Drake is. But all the picture and all the paperwork said his name was Charles. It did not say his name was Drake. But I recognized his last name as the same last name as my grandmother. So we went directly from this historical play. We went to my grandmother's house. I came, barging in the door. And I said, Grandma, tell me about this Charles Kazare. I need to know about this guy. I know this guy. And my grandmother goes, oh, you mean great-grandpa Drake? He's kind of famous in our family. And at that moment, my reality shifted. And now everything that I had been through in my experience, but also everything I had been going through since my experience, because that connection with Drake didn't end. I still have it today and every day since, and more. I work with a lot of angels, a lot of souls, but this moment was a pinnacle moment because now I found proof positive of, number one, how I was connected to Drake. Come to find out, he was my great-great-great-grandfather on my grandmother's side. Someone who I'd never seen his picture, never heard his name once in my life. But yet, here he was, bold as brass, living and alive in my life. And not just alive in my life, but still connected to me. And that's what allows me to do what I do. I help people every single day, 5 to 6 days a week. I'm helping people connect to their own divinity, no matter what religion they prescribe to or don't prescribe to. I help people in their own path amplify their own spirituality and inject a little higher presence into what they're doing so that they can perceive their own deity. They can perceive their own personal connection with God. And it's a dream that I get to do the very thing that I dreamt about for many years, and have been able to do it for many years. And I'm grateful to be on this journey. I'm grateful that I had the experience. I don't recommend it for everyone. I definitely don't recommend it. You don't have to have a near-death experience or a death experience to activate these gifts. And it's a lot easier to learn how to breathe, meditate, and center the mind. But that's my story. And thanks, Karen.
Darling one, it's an incredible story, and I've been loving the comments. Shirley's like, I'm enthralled. Bless that earth angels. She's like, I've got goosies. And then she's like, Drake. Drake. I know, right? Drake. And Heidi. Hi, Heidi. Glad you're tuning in. Wow, a couple of things. Drake, one of the reasons I decided to like spontaneously pop Vinny on the show last guest of the year was my cat is called Drake. And when I saw your story, like you have shared your story with so many podcast shows. I know what it's like when you repeat your story over and over and over and over again to keep it fresh and new and having spoken it hundreds, maybe thousands of times. But yeah, you said it so well. It was absolutely enthralling. It comes with so much beautiful energy and passion. But yeah, I was listening to your story and Drake, when you said his name's Drake, and my ears popped up.
You have your own feline guide named
I
Drake,
got my
right?
own Drake, a little black cat. Yeah, he was given to me by my next door neighbor when my last cat died. I said, I'm not going to get another cat. I've got freedom now. I don't have to worry about looking after an animal. 5 weeks later, a kitten turns up in my garden. It's the next door neighbor's son. And I'm like, what's his name? He's like, Drake. There were 2 cats named after a black rapper, he said. That's so cute.
So
But
you got adopted by Drake then.
I got adopted by Drake.
Yeah.
A couple of things. When you were talking at the beginning about when we're in heaven, all our desires are God's desires in your vernacular.
Yeah.
And so when we come to earth, we have different desires. One would call that free will, right?
Yes. And you know, one way that Spirit has shown it to me before is imagine a whale in the ocean. Imagine our Creator is the whale in the ocean, and you're one of these tiny little fishes that is so connected to the whale that everywhere that the whale goes, that's your world. And you love the whale because the whale is how you exist. And, you know, there was a specific waking up to this. And a lot of us realized, you know, we love our Creator, but yet our Creator loves us. We want to grow. Our Creator wants to give us the ability to grow. And the best way to grow is to move away from home. It is. And so we get cleansed by a veil of forgetfulness because the love our Creator has is so powerful, even to remember it, it would be influencing our decisions. So we have to completely forget it.
Whoa.
Come to this place, and this place is the reward. We had to work really hard just to be able to get here. But once we're here, we get to choose. And, you know, a great master said that the keys to the kingdom are inside, that the universe is just you inversed. It's just, you know, what we see is what we're looking for. And that's a magical and a powerful way of knowing and being. And the more we can realize that, the more we can turn our life into a magical existence.
Vinny, you have said something that has just hit me as such a profound thing. Kristen and I were complaining about our kids, not really complaining, but talking about how we raised our kids to be beautiful, loving human beings. And they grow up and they have all their dramas. It's like, where did I go wrong? But my daughter has sort of decided she doesn't want to talk to me this year for one reason or another. She's got her reasons. And when you said the quickest way to grow is to move away from home, it just hit me like a brick. It's just hit me like a brick. It's like I kind of know it on some level, but those words just perfect for what's happening with her. It's like, because when mum is always there to answer all your questions and fix your problems and pay your bills, even though she doesn't live with me, she's an adult, right?
Yeah.
by her cutting herself off from me and all that support that I offer her. It's an exponential, accelerated learning process.
Yeah. She's forcing herself to grow up. And now she's seeing if her own two legs are stronger than mom's legs
Right.
because you were carrying so much for her.
Make me cry.
Let's do something real quick. Okay? So your spirit team wants us to just do a single breath, okay? This is going to be a really deep inhale through the nose. We hold it for just a second, and then a tight, controlled exhale through the mouth, okay? Let's just do one of those real quick. Go inhale. Tight, controlled exhale through the mouth. And Karen, keep your eyes closed for just 1 second, okay? I want you and I want the audience to visualize what you look like, where you're sitting in your chair or in your car. If you're driving, don't close your eyes.
Yeah.
But imagine what you look like sitting there. I want you to imagine what the back of your head looks like. I want you to imagine what the room looks like in the room that you're sitting. And now, while you're looking at this body, I want you to notice that this is your body. And now I want you to think, would I be proud of her or him if this was my child? I want you to feel the shift of energy. Feel how even at the cellular level, your body shifts. And now feel yourself back in your body. Wiggle your hands, wiggle your toes. Feel yourself very present. And now you can have our greatest gift, which is the present. With every breath, with every thought.
Oh, beautiful. Going to make me forget all my questions.
Target achieved.
My target achieved. I feel so blissed out now. I just want to meditate and not talk. Shirley's like, oh, my heart, mom to mom. I love that. The mom. We say mom down under. Mom to mom. Oh, my goodness. Amazing. I'm just reiterating some of the comments here. Yeah, beautiful. The present moment, the present's a gift.
It is.
Oh.
And, sometimes we're really hard on ourselves. But when you take that perspective of looking down at your child just down below you, striving to succeed, striving to help their children, striving to take care of their spouse, it shifts your energy. And now you can quite love being you.
Absolutely.
And, something I like to do on a regular basis is in our own mind, go to a space where you meet yourself from 3 years ago. And yourself from 3 years ago is envious of where you are today and what you're doing today. And then you can ask them, just using your imagination, ask them, what would you be willing to give up from there to have what I already have right now?
Mm.
And you'd be surprised the answers that will flow through you.
Mm.
There's a pristine preciousness in enjoying the present.
Absolutely. son says, thank you for that. It was cleansing, absolutely. And Nadine says, that was surprising. It makes me realize how shaky my self-acceptance is. Yeah, wow, amazing. Yeah,
Well,
doesn't it?
We'll give
Yeah.
10 times the grace to our own children than we'll give to ourselves.
Right. I want to get back to something else that you said about not recognizing, because this is something a lot of NDEs say about not recognizing the body as you. When I was a young naturopathic student, like 23 years old, we had an extracurricular class that I went to, and it was my first ever experience of hearing a near-death experience.
Mm-hmm.
And like, this is like over 40 years ago. But what I remember her saying is she was giving birth and she died. And she took her body off like she would take off a cardigan or a sweater or a jumper, we would say, down under, and threw it on the chair. It's sort of, she didn't recognize her body as her. Like, and that's, she said a lot of other things, but I just remember that. Like, how could that be? We're so focused on the body being us, right? How could that be? You're looking at your own body and you don't even recognize it. But I just want to finish this. And October 7th, 2 years ago, October 7th, the massacre in Israel, Gaza, at the festival, the music festival. I had one of my Jewish friends who lives in Bondi that's now gone through this same thing. Oh, I'm going to cry again. Today. She presented a channeling from one of the young, beautiful angels that died in the massacre. And he said a similar thing. He was running for his life and he was shot and he didn't even know he was dead. He was still like running. And he didn't know for a while that he was actually out of his body. There was no sensation of popping out of the body. And then after a while, he and his friends are all together. They're all dead on earth. And they're all like, hang on. We're not in the body anymore. But it's so interesting that gentleness of the leaving the body. It's not as traumatic as Hollywood makes it out to be, right?
And even more than that, I've been back to some of my most horrific scenes as a child in the abuse that I went through, the abuse that I experienced. And something I noticed right away is when I go back and visit those spaces, my soul is not actually in my body.
Wow.
Even for the abuses. And now I've been able to see it live in my life, where there was one particular incident where I saw a fatality accident in a motorcycle and a truck. And right before the accident happened, I saw the young man standing with two angels on the side of the road before his body even crashed.
Wow. Yeah.
So there's a very precious protection around our soul.
Right.
And here's the brain buster. Spirit showed me this long ago, that we only lend our consciousness here for this experience, but who we truly are, our true nature, actually has always stayed in heaven. And that's how they're able to let us get here, play around in the sandbox and not get too dirty, because we're just lending a part of our consciousness here.
Absolutely. In saying that, I want to ask you a question. But here's what I think when I listen to a lot of NDEs. On Earth, we're so removed or have forgotten the essence of our being that when we meet it on the other side during an NDE or even an out-of-body experience or even a dream, we see this almighty light and we say, oh, my God, this must be God. Oh, my God, this must be God. Are you God? Like you said to Drake, are you God? It's funny, when you describe Drake in other podcast shows that I've watched of you, you said, the long white hair and the long white beard, and I just thought it was going to be God because that's the image. I go straight to Gandalf. Like, I don't think of God. I think of Gandalf.
You know what? I was not a Lord of the Rings fan yet, so maybe if I
all
had
the other
been pre-experience, I would have said, "Are you God or Gandalf?" Right?
together. But that look, but I often think when I hear these near-death experiences, they're actually meeting their soul, and they're
Yeah.
calling it God, which is. Do you think that Drake is you?
I have a strong feeling that Drake is a reflection of the divine masculine inside me. Yes. Because many times I've gone to places where one particular instance where I did see an angel protect me. I was about to be made paralyzed as a young boy. I was 6 years old, and extremely abusive situation. I had already been beaten unconscious twice. And I remembered specifically as this arm was coming up to swing a 2x4 board, a pine board, and hit me. I watched this arm, this white arm, go straight out, and I watched the board hit the arm, and the board just exploded. It made the loudest explosion, so loud that two neighbors down one direction and one neighbor down the other direction, they all came out to their backside of their house to see what that noise was. And I knew it was an angel for the longest time. I just couldn't see the physical angel attached to that arm. I remember seeing the arm even as a little child. I remember that. Well, in my own journeys, my growth and my own progress, I had that day come where Spirit said, it's time to take you back to the moment that you saw an angel. And it was a scary thing for me to do, but it was time. I could feel it was time. And I went back only to find that I had been put in position to be the arm. And it came time where that board was going, and I could also see the person that was doing the hitting, that even their soul had stepped out and they were being possessed by an anger entity, an envy entity, and a fear entity.
Mm-hmm.
And that even this person who was supposed to love me was even possessed, and that me coming in and putting my arm out was to stop his possession as well as stop the damages on my little child body.
Wow, yeah, amazing. Kristen and I were talking about this on Elevate a few weeks ago, and I played the repeat this week. You called it sphere and element. No, what did you call it? The fear. What's the name you gave it? Fear element?
Entity.
You
Yeah.
called it entity. And we were talking about attachments and vibrational spheres in the team books channeled by Frances Ray Key after her mother died. They talk about these vibrational spheres of thought that we plug into, spheres of hate, spheres of anger, spheres of rage, spheres of prejudice, as you were channeling before. And we can unplug, but sometimes when we're plugged in, it's like we're possessed because we're feeding it and it's feeding us this same vibration. And that's, you're kind of describing it.
Well, our bodies are flesh vessels that contain energy, and if we're not owning our own energy, we're potentially allowing other energies to move in. Something I do on a regular basis is I help people release entities off their body. And a telltale sign that you've got something is a knot in your shoulder right next to your neck, either the left side or the right side.
Oh, well, I got plenty.
But that doesn't mean that that's necessarily a demon,
Yeah.
but it is an entity of energy. And when it's on the left side, it is anger. And when it's on the right side, it is fear. But here's something that the audience can do real quick is we can cleanse the flesh vessel. We can cleanse our temple of these energies. So reach up and feel that knot right next to the neck on the left. And then with your eyes closed, just repeat after me. I release this energy. It's not mine to carry. I release this energy that I've inherited and this energy that I've invited. I now completely release it. It's not mine to carry any longer. I release it here and now. Let it be said, let it be done. And then you take a big deep breath and let go of your hand and breathe out. And then for the right side, same thing. Grab that knot on the right side and say, I release this energy. I release this fear. It's not mine to carry. I release the fear of my ancestors. I even release the fear of my biology, of my own DNA. It is not mine to carry any longer. Here and now, I free myself of this energy. Let it be said, let it be done. Take a big deep breath and release. So for some of your audience, that's going to be a big deal right there, those two. You're going to feel electricity even coming into the brain that was not coming into the brain before. Just your whole neurology and your physiology, it's able to get a lot more electricity when you remove that off of you. Yeah.
Well, Vinny, you've answered a question that I also had posed when you were sharing your story, because you were talking about disintegrating, washing away, eliminating, dissolving the negative programming, for a better word, that you'd picked up along your physical trail, so that you could be, I'm using my words now, but so you could be more of a vibrational match to that realm we call heaven, or that realm of pure positive energy. And so in order to be there, you had to release the frequencies that weren't a match to it. And as you were talking about that, I was thinking, yeah, that's what happens when you die, but can we also do that while we're in the body? And you've just given us one of the ways to do that.
Neat is you can clean the kitchen with a broom, or you can clean the kitchen by filling the room. So, you know, when you're using the broom, you're sweeping out the dust, you're sweeping out the garbage. But when you're going and filling the room with love, the dust and the garbage is swept out on its own. So you can take your consciousness, your attention, your mind, and put it towards what you want to get rid of, or you can invite the opposite of that thing into your space. Right. So really love this body, really love it. You know, something that was hard for me for a long time was to stand in front of a mirror and say, I love what I'm looking at. But once I could actually start believing that, my body started changing on me, because everything is energy. If we're occupying our bodies with love, there's no space available for the other.
Right. Kristen and I have chatted about this too on Elevate. Like you were, when you were 25, you were a bodybuilder. So you were working really hard physically and probably mentally to attain a body that you thought was good and a part of an image that bodybuilders have. And you know, I've been overweight for a long time now, and I don't want to go to the gym to attain the body. I want to just love it and think about it and have it acclimate to my vision. Something I haven't mastered yet in this lifetime, but I know it's possible. Like I absolutely know it's possible. And I keep talking to my guides about it, and they like keep telling me it's possible, but I haven't done it yet. Yeah, that releasing that resistance to your image. Yeah, that judgment.
And one thing that will help you a lot is asking yourself, with the food you drink or the food you eat and the drinks you drink and the actions that you put your body through, is ask a simple question. Is this what I would be doing if I loved my body?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if it's a yes, do it.
Yeah.
But I've also learned, don't cut yourself off from something that your body is craving. You can give yourself a small amount of what that thing is, and then talk to your body and say, body, I know you want this, but you also know it's not good for you. So here's a little bit, and that's going to get you going for now. But let's find an alternative to that thing that is loving to the body, that the body does love. And you'll find alternatives. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to talk about what happened to you when you came back and that conversation you had with the doctor in a hospital, a psychiatrist. I'm going to do a station. And how to be on earth and love it when you understand where you come from. I think that especially for a lot of people that hear near-death experiences and they're not happy with their life on earth. So all they want to do is like, go home, like you've experienced that. But how to be here and be happy. But here we go. Just do a station ID break. No, I've hit the wrong thing. I'm not doing well today. Oh, here we
You're
go.
listening to ATP Media, Awakening and Expanding Consciousness with Karen Swain on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 FM and 105.3 FM, syndicated radio hitting about 120 countries and streaming on 8 platforms.
And my guest today is Vincent Tolman, and we're discussing his perspective from the spirit side or the other side. There's Kristen. Hello, honey one.
I love you, Kristen.
We love you, Kristen. Laddie says he loves you too. Heidi loves you too. Getting lots of love, Jay. Yeah, I thought that was such a great conversation that you had with the doctor in the hospital after you came back, because you wanted to tell people what you experienced and they wanted to drug you up. Tell us what happened.
Well, there was two instances. So while I was in the hospital, I had a neurologist. So they had to, when you're getting checked out of the hospital after something like this, everybody was calling me a miracle. I didn't feel like a miracle. I felt like the cursed child. I felt like Harry Potter. I didn't feel good about the whole thing. I felt cursed, truly. And I was meeting with my neurologist, and he said, Vinny, be careful about what your brain fills the gaps with. You have to be, he essentially said, don't trust what your brain makes up for the next few weeks, because your brain is going to make things up to fill in the gaps. He showed me, by his own estimate, I had to have been oxygen starved for well over an hour, possibly 2, from the time they had pronounced me dead and then my heart was started. That was 47 minutes. And I was likely dead an hour before that. So this doctor was saying, your brain is not going to just accept that. It's going to make things up. And that kept plaguing me. So, after the experience happened, I didn't find out who Drake was yet, but I did seek mental health. As a professional, I went and saw a doctor. He referred me to another doctor. And then that other doctor, he was in the middle of writing out a prescription for me. It was an anti-schizophrenic prescription. When you hear voices, you talk to, spirits. It's not a good thing in the mental health profession. They're not very loving about handling you if you speak to spirits. And so while I was there, he was hand filling out the prescriptions for these 2 or 3 meds he was going to give me. And this woman, she comes through and she says, don't you take those medicines until you deliver this message. And I looked to Drake, because Drake was my reference point on everything back then and still is. And Drake said, yeah, listen to her, like, do what she says. And so I did. It was a very simple message, and I could say it in 2 sentences. I delivered that 2-sentence message to this, mental health professional, and he dropped his pad, his prescription pad. His jaw dropped, and this good Christian man who had a picture of Jesus in his office said, "Get the F out of my office." And that freaked me out. I'm a friendly guy. I try not to ruffle people's feathers, but and even though I didn't quite understand what I was communicating, that ruffled his feathers. And I pulled away from the scene. I was on my way home, and I got a phone call from his cell phone. And he said, "Vinny, I don't quite understand how you knew that. No one knew that." He said, "I even forgot that had happened." And so it was his grandmother who was there. She was reminding him why he became a doctor working with mental health. She was his first savior. She was the one that stepped in and stopped some abuse. And he had forgot it. He did not remember it. And this 2-sentence that she gave me, part of it was, "Don't forget I saved you."
Wow.
And that was a pristine experience, because now I knew that I wasn't the only one who was crazy. So was my doctor. But he did say, he said, "Vinny, the medicine that he knows to treat this, it's not going to treat it the right way." He said, "You need to find a priest or a bishop and go meet with clergy, that they're going to have advice for you." So I did. I met with a few different clergy, and I ended up with a bishop that really helped me. And I'm very good friends with him still to this day, and Bishop Jeffries. And I'll tell you, a little bit of unconditional love goes a very long way. Very, very long way.
Yeah. That was 25 odd years ago, right? When was it?
Yeah.
2003.
Yeah. 2003. And so it'll be 23
Not
years
quite.
this January.
23 years ago. Do you think, with all the podcast shows, and you've been on many of them, and all the information that's getting it, like Vinny's been on a podcast show, it's had over 4 million views. You're talking about life after death, and he was telling me of some other near-death experience that's had 30 million views on one of his shows. And so the message is getting out there. Do you think health professionals are a bit more up to speed when people come out of comas and stuff, and they start talking, they said that they've seen grandma and angels and stuff like that? Do you think
they are?
Do you think that's
so
changed?
The protocols on paper have not necessarily changed, but the actions of the professionals have changed.
Right.
And they used to jump to some certain conclusions, but now, because of hospice, because of palliative care, because of all of these, on top of cardiology, having people come back after heart attacks or coming back after their heart stopping, and the high amount of people using CPR and defibrillators to start the hearts, we're seeing more and more of these near-death experiences. And I feel very privileged that I know Kristen because of IANS, which is the International Association of Near-Death Studies. And if you are even interested by near-death experiences, go join IANS. You don't have to be an experiencer. Only about 20% of us are experiencers. The other 80% are enthusiasts or doctors who study them. So
Doctors.
the medical industry is shifting. We even have nurses that come each year, a group of nurses, and they get a continuing education credit by coming and learning about different people's
Oh, wow.
experiences.
That's so cool.
It's
that's so
such
cool.
a blessed organization. I'm so very grateful for that group because I found a family I didn't know I needed.
Yeah.
And it is truly
absolutely.
family.
Absolutely.
I am excited every year. The last week in August, the first weekend in September, it's always Labor Day weekend. I get to hang out with my favorite people on earth, and I get to do my favorite thing, and that's sharing heartbeats. I get to share heartbeats with my favorite people on earth, and I get to do it every year. It's a profound experience, even to go one time. Yeah.
It's beautiful. IANS hasn't really taken off down under as big as it has in the States. A friend of mine started an IANS group here in Sydney just before COVID. COVID shut it down. And we used to meet every week. It was only a small, like half a dozen of us. It was small. But yeah, it's really big in the States. I love that. We haven't got our act togethers here. We do have a lot of, what do you call it? Spirit church, where mediums deliver messages. We've got a lot of that going on. What's it called? Spirit church, something like that. Got the name wrong. But yeah, people need to get together to have these conversations and spread it. I love that I'm watching streaming shows and they're mentioning near-death experiences in the streaming shows now because that's more mainstream, right? And they're saying, she had a near-death experience. Like, yes, they're mentioning it. So it's filtering into the mainstream mind. It's getting in there.
Well,
amazing that
they have a show called Renaissance on Gaia, the TV network Gaia, and it's one of their number one shows. And it's just made by an amazing man from France, Anthony Cheney. And he has self-funded, self-made this little documentary on crazy dead people like myself. And it has done so well. Yeah, it's really neat. It's really neat to see the mainstream embracing something that is so informative, uplifting, and can get us a different perspective on all of our past. I've always felt that religion is a great thing if it's being done in love because, religion or religion, it's legioning, it's gathering, right? So if we're doing that out of love, our religion is a legion of love. But if it's done out of prejudice, then, we're pushing others away. And I love that IANS and many groups like them, they don't need to be a religion. They can be
not a religion.
A loving space for all beliefs. Or non-beliefs to show up and just honor each other, share heartbeats, and enjoy this journey.
Yeah. Nadine says his documentaries are done so well. What was the name of that documentary again? Just say it again.
It's called Renaissance.
Renaissance. I'm going to look it up. I was watching a show on one of the streaming platforms the other day. I watch a lot of shows called Ripples. Great, I liked it. It's like came out this year.
Oh, cool.
6-part mini-series. Lots of emotional stuff, and I find usually those shows, I usually don't like them because they're sort of pushing an agenda that people want us to believe. But anyway, there was a man, an older black man, who had turned his back on religion because he was brought up by a pastor who was one of those hell and damnations. But his wife was really religious. So he wasn't religious, a bit like my brother, complete atheist, married to a strong Catholic. They got along, but in the movie, his wife had died, and there were all these people asking him to come to church to pray for his wife, and he's like, nah, don't give me that church stuff, like he was really against it. But he goes and does some charity work, and he finds a pastor who presents him with loving kindness wrapped in religion. And he's like, well, that's something I can take that, like he didn't
Yeah.
see it as hell and damnation. Yeah, I always say religion has a lot to answer for. I mean, what happened in Sydney, Australia last night is all about religion. It's all about you're right and I'm wrong. And it's tragic and hideous, and everyone's mourning and everyone's in shock and everyone's angry. There's a video I watched this morning of the two men down. I don't know who they were, but police were sitting on top of them. I suspect they were the gunmen. And one angry Australian man, shirtless Australian man, comes up and kicks this dead man's head. I think he was dead. And like he's bashing him up because he's so angry at what's happened. So it's inciting a lot of anger.
Mm-hmm.
And my guides have asked me to go there to shift the trauma energy in the place. They've asked me to do that on other accounts like that where there's been trauma. Just go there and change the energy. Because,
Spirit shows me this. Imagine you're in a long line to get into Disneyland, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Or some fun, loving place.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in this really long line, and out of nowhere, someone walks up and randomly allows 11 people to butt in line.
Right, yeah, I know.
Allows 11 people to get in.
Yeah.
Us who are staying in the line, we're upset. We are upset. And was it right? No, not in any way. Especially, there's no proper reason or good reason to kill. There's just not, because all of us are fingers on the Creator's hands.
Mm-hmm.
And what we don't realize, if you close your eyes for one moment, imagine the body of God, okay? The body of the universe. Imagine it looking like a human body, okay? Now, look at all the sacred meridians on that body. And each meridian is a religion.
Mm-hmm.
And so can you access God through religion? Absolutely. But to get to know the God of the universe, you really need to learn about all the meridians.
Mm. Exactly.
And today, one meridian was shooting another meridian.
Mm-hmm.
And I send love to these poor families that are, grieving. They've lost children, parents. I have
rabbis.
Yeah, rabbis. I have really close friends that their son was shot out here in Las Vegas at the Route 51 concert shooting. And a terrible thing to happen. And I watched my community of Las Vegas come together like it had never done before. Never.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we actually felt community for the first time. And I've been in Nevada since 2004. And for the first time, I felt complete community here in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so by a terrible thing, a great thing came.
Absolutely.
And I challenge all of us to put our prayers, our love, and our wishes for everyone involved. And I mean everyone involved.
It's the message that the spirit side, for a better word, the other side, spirit, soul, infinite intelligence, always speaks about when addressing these sorts of tragedies.
Yeah.
And yet I think as humans, we just need to be reminded and reminded and reminded and reminded, because when we see the tragedy, all we can see is the trauma and not the reason for the trauma.
Well, there's going to be...
So that's why I thought it was so beautiful and synchronistic that we were speaking today.
Yeah, it is really amazing. I'm moving right now. And you sent that message right after something had moved out of this time slot. So it was very synchronistic that this all clicked into place within an hour or two of,
Absolutely.
contacting each other. So it was great. Yeah.
We've got about 10, 15 minutes to go. How do people who, especially people who hear people like you and they hear you speak about the love and the light and the unity and the beauty and the vastness and the expansiveness and the fun that we can have when we're out of body and we're on the other side, like exploring, people like are exploring universes, and they go to castles and they read Akashic records and they hang out with angels and ascended masters, and it's all so much fun. How do we stay on earth and love being here on earth when we find out about this knowledge? So you said that when you came back, it was really hard for you to stay. What made it better for you to stay?
Well, Spirit right away taught me the power of my breath, and that when I can do the breathing like we did earlier, where I'm really doing a big inhale through the nose, a tight controlled exhale through the mouth, that I'm now putting a layer of God in between me and what's going on in front of me. And this is truly miraculous, because if you can add this Yahweh breath or this God breath to everything you're doing, do it before you start your car, do it before you go to work, do it before you turn on the radio, do it before you do anything, just one God breath, it puts this little layer of God in between you and what you're experiencing. And now you start to see gorgeous little flowers on your path walking out to your car. You see happy, healing little children playing next to where you work. You start seeing little things you wouldn't have noticed otherwise. And what it does, it takes you out of the front seat of your car, and it puts you in the back seat of your car, and it puts God in the front seat. It puts God driving the life. And there's so much more ability to receive the gift of the present when you are taking those breaths. And scientifically, your cortisol levels go down substantially by simply giving yourself breath. And what we look for, we will find. So look for good things. If you feel that your life is plagued with negative events and negative things, then look to what you're consuming with your leisure time and start consuming positive things there.
Yeah. Beautifully said. I loved what you said right at the beginning of this. You flipped it. You said at the beginning of this conversation, you said something about being on earth is a privilege, and we have before we come, we do the judgment. We don't get judged here. I mean, I know your catch cry is like, life is a schoolroom, not a courtroom.
Yeah.
No, how's it go?
Yeah,
Is that
life
right?
is a classroom, not a courtroom. Yeah.
That's right, a classroom, not a courtroom. Like, we're not being judged while here on earth. We
Well,
do all that. We make all those decisions before we come. We judge. Do we want to be there? Are we up for it? Who do we want to be? What identity do I want to be? Yeah.
This is the free cruise that we won with all of our hard work. But there is going to be a moment when we're on the other side after we've died, and we're looking back and thinking, oh, I signed up for that.
Right. Yeah.
Like, but wait, that seemed like it was a curse. It was not a fun thing. But when you see the eternal perspective that your existence is so bountiful with love and abundance that you chose to go to a place where that is absent, and you have to create it. You did that for your own journey, for your own lifting your spiritual muscles.
Yeah. Where you choose to come to a place where love, let's say love feels absent, because it's not absent.
It's not absent. It feels absent. Yeah.
But you have to create that feeling, that vibration to remind people. I'm trying to sort of work it out in my own words. Yeah, you have to create it. You have to create it. That's the challenge we give ourselves, to create
what we think we will create.
What we think we create. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's she saying here? Michael Tamora said, "Don't take a breath. Give yourself
I love that.
a breath.
Give yourself a breath." Yeah.
Yeah. And Shirley's already bought the book. She's got the book on Audible. She's cruising. She's happy. She's got the weekend set.
The only apology I have is whoever they have reading that book on Audible. Sorry about that. Okay. Other than that,
Who
it's
is
me.
reading that book
It's
on
me.
Audible?
It's
I
me.
forgot to mention the book for people listening on radio. So there is a book. Here's the front of it: "The Light After Death: My Journey to Heaven and Back." Vincent Tolman with Lynn Taylor. So Lynn Taylor is...
So Lynn Taylor, he's a co-founder of Living God's Light with me, our nonprofit. And the proceeds of the book, actually, I'll go into that nonprofit. And what we do is we are building community across the world using the things that I learned from the experience and more. Actually, we're expanding this year to have our own little convention in first weekend in May in Salt Lake City.
Nice.
So I'll be living in Georgia by then, but I'll be coming over to Salt Lake City for that in May.
So you're in Salt Lake now, and you're moving to Georgia.
I live in Las Vegas now.
Oh, you live in Las Vegas.
Yeah, but my publisher, Ascent Publishing, they are out of Salt Lake. Yeah.
Ah, is Kristen involved in that? She's good at organizing conferences. I'm plugging you again, Kristen.
We should get her in there. Yeah, we should actually, because
she's actually helping Neil Gore put on a Living Life Expo in April, which I'm supposed to go over for. But
I know that she was a big part of having IONS in Salt Lake City that year. She was a big part of that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, conferences are great. Have you spoken at many? Oh, and Claudia says hi too. She was on Facebook. She said, "This is going to be a good one." And I said to her, "Have you met him at conferences?" She said, "Yeah, he's beautiful, beautiful, genuine guy." Oh, you know what? Before we go, I called this 10 things we absolutely have to know. We've covered a few of them. Are there any others like we've covered?
I'll put them all in the order that I got them. Okay.
Okay.
And number one is be authentic. That, until you can find out who you really are, you can't actually give love or receive true love until you can be authentic. Number two is know the purpose of life. Know that you are here because you selected to be here. You were rewarded to come here, and that Earth School is a classroom, not a courtroom. And the third one is to love everyone. Loving everyone truly means loving all. And I'm a firm believer that when we're serving each other, we are serving God. Even if we're serving an animal, or we're serving a plant, or we're serving nature, I feel we serve God in taking care of all. The fourth one is listen to your inner voice. We all have an inner voice. It's our spiritual umbilical cord, our direct connection through our energetic DNA, not our physical DNA, but our soul DNA to our Creator. Listen to that inner voice. And 5 is use tech responsibly. Use technology responsibly. Technology can amplify your spirit connection, or it can serve to replace it. And choose to use technology for the prior. Don't let it replace your spiritual connection. And then number 6 is release all prejudice. We did talk about that one, even towards prejudiced people. 7 is the power of creation, which is our thoughts. Our thoughts is where we create. And then 8, avoid negative influences, especially because our thoughts are creating We want to avoid the negative energies so that we can create positive things. And then number 9 is there is purpose even in evil. Because when we elected to come here, there was the possibility of having a place that did not have any evil. And our Creator said, that's home. That's already home. So we would have never left home. And part of that leaving is having the ability to make mistakes and to learn from those. So to be able to have a choice, we have to have a bad option. And there is purpose even in evil. And the last one, my favorite one of all, is we are all one. And we are all one. That we're all fingers on the Creator's hands. And for us to hate or harm another, we're hating and harming ourselves. That's it.
Yeah. Pearls of wisdom. Pearls of wisdom. Kristen says, ooh, she can't wait for the Salt Lake City conference and Mutual Appreciation Society with you, Vinny.
Well, all the international people that want to read the book, the hardcover, I think, is now international. So, I mean, the digital and the Audible is international, but I think you can get hardcover international now too.
Hardcover and softcover? Do you have to buy hardcover?
Softcover, not yet. But as of right now, hardcover is supposed to be available internationally.
So the book's fairly recent then?
So it is 3 years old.
Okay.
And it's, according to Amazon, it is a bestseller. So cool. It's done really well. It's, to me, I didn't write the book for there to be a book. I was just sick of people coming up to me and asking me, where's my book after I would speak my experience. Yeah,
absolutely.
So I did create it primarily for my own kids so that they could have a full copy of what happened to their dad.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has had a profound effect. I've had people that were, that had suicide notes written that they ended up finding one on the top of a gas station pump, a petrol station pump. And they just with the title of it and reading a couple pages, they knew that they didn't want to kill themselves, that this was God like stepping in. What I love is my experience. I don't want people to think is any kind of gospel in any way. But what I do want them to know is the more positive influences you have, the better your universe or your you inverse is going to be. And this is a positive influence.
The universe, the you inverse. Yeah, when you were talking, when you were sharing your story, talking about the different notes of the grass, I was thinking the different tones.
Yeah,
like
all
each
different
blade had
tones.
different tones. Yeah. Oh, darling one. Nadine says this conversation has brought feelings of peace. Thank you both. Oh, I do. I feel very peaceful too. It's been a rough morning here in Sydney, rough night last night. Thank you for putting these experiences into your book, Susan says. Hey, Susan. Yeah. And I have the link for people on the website that I've made for Vinny in the description for the book. For my Amazon link, gives me a couple of cents. You don't have to use it. But you can if you want.
Use it for sure. Just choose hardcover. Choose hardcover if you want it international. Yeah.
And we're streaming on all sorts of different platforms, which you can see there, all the audio platforms and Rumble and Odyssey. And we're not on Twitch today, YouTube and Facebook. Thank you. You've been quiet today, Vladdy. Not so many questions, but you must have been either asleep or or enthralled in this conversation.
My voice has a very special way of putting people to sleep. So maybe Vlad got a good nap.
Well, Vladdy's in Germany, so it's like 2 o'clock in the morning now for him.
Gotcha.
I think it's like midnight when we start, or 12:30 when we start midnight. But darling one, it's been an absolute pleasure and joy and honor to speak with you today. You are such an amazing healer. It was, as Drake said to you, I'm going to cry again. As Drake said to you, it's going to be hard, but it's well worth it. It is absolutely worth it. You being here, sharing your story and helping people, it's definitely worth being here. So thank you again.
My love,
for
my
sharing.
prayers to all those who are listening, but also who are grieving. And, you know, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah,
Yeah.
Happy
Yeah.
Kwanzaa, you know, Happy Holy Days.
Happy holy days. Yeah. Thanks again for all that. I do feel very holy and peaceful right now after talking to you, Vinny. Because, you know, doing this live show, it's a multitasking, you know, thing.
Yeah.
And I'm usually, and the energy is usually running quite quickly because I'm looking this and doing this, but I feel very chill, very zen. So thank you again. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you.
Next week's show, I'm just going to wrap up the year and talk about all the amazing people we've had on the show. And it's going to be a Q&A if you have any questions. And and then, as I say, I'm going to do a few weeks of uploading recorded shows because I've been doing this for over 16 years and I've got plenty of conversations that I can play back to you, and they're all amazing. So I'll see you all live again next week. And happy Hanukkah and festive season and all that good stuff. Thanks again. Big love to all of you.
Everyone.
Bye for now.